Hey everybody, this video brings us out to Douglasville. Almost got me. This video brings us out to Douglasville, Pennsylvania. And the reason why we are in Douglasville, Pennsylvania today is to take a look at something that I've been wanting to pull over and take a look at for a while now. I have driven past this about 47 million times. This is 422 right here. I have driven up and down 422 so many times in my life, and I've driven past this so many times in my life, and I've never actually stopped, pulled over to check this out. So today, we're gonna check this out. Look at the giant cross here. I believe that's a like a radio tower turned into a giant cross, which is really, really interesting. So again, we are here in Douglasville, Pennsylvania, and we are here to check out this amazing, beautiful church. This is the St. Gabriel Church. Look at this. They even have a donation box. And this box is maintained by the American Legion Post 626 in Birdsboro. So I guess you can donate clothes and whatnot possibly in there. But look at this. This church is absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. We will take a look at this church in a little bit. This is not the church we're going to focus on quite yet. Although again, this is an amazing looking, absolutely beautiful church with the bell steeple there. We're going to take a look at the church that sits over here first. This is the 1801 church. This church built in 1801. This actually, the whole congregation dates back to 1720. It was a Swedish Lutheran congregation. Then eventually, I believe in 1760, they did join the Church of England. This church here was built in 1801. And there is a historical marker, again, on this very, very busy road. It says Anthony Sadowski, Polish pioneer, Indian trader, settled along Schuylkill River in this area, 1712. He served the provincial government as a messenger interpreter during negotiations with Indian tribes in 1728. He was buried 1736 in graveyard at St. Gabriel's Church. So he is buried here. Honestly, I thought this was going to talk about the church more, but it talks about a man who was buried out here in the church. We'll try to maybe find that grave. So here we go. St. Gabriel's site, a first church in Berks County, founded by Swedish Lutherans, there you go, in 1720, changed to Episcopal in 1760. So again, 1720, founded by Swedish Lutherans, and then they did join the Church of England in 1760. Such a busy road, but pretty awesome that this church was built 1801. St. Gabriel's Chapel, built 1801. We're gonna walk down into the graveyard now and try to get away from this extremely noisy road. Very, very busy highway. This church actually is really, really awesome, and I do wish we could get inside to take a better look, but unfortunately, it is all locked up. We can't actually go inside today. But look at the keyhole there. That is pretty cool. We can, however, look through the windows and get a view of what it looks like inside. You can see the pews in there, and you can see the stairs leading up to the second story. This is a 2-story church, which is pretty cool. And it was registered on the National Register of Historic American Buildings. That is cool. Again, this church is really, really neat. Like I said, I do wish we could go inside. I do wish we could get a better look, but you can look through the windows. Not that it's really focusing. The windows are quite dirty at the moment. I believe that's the pulpit right right there, I believe, is the pulpit. It's interesting that the pews seem to not be like in a typical church where, at least I think anyway, I'm trying to get an idea what's going on inside there. It looks like the pews are not your typical pews where it's just a row of pews and then the pulpit up front. This looks like it's the pulpit, which sits kind of like right sort of in this area here, and then there's a row of pews, and then a row of pews. So you're kind of surrounding the pulpit and the minister giving his sermon, which is really, really interesting. Definitely different. Pretty awesome. Again, 1801. There was a church built here before 1801. It was a log cabin church that they used. I believe it sat somewhere out here on the property. From what I was reading, it sat somewhere out where the cemetery now is. That was there until this was built in 1801, and that original log cabin church did eventually, unfortunately, burn down. But pretty cool that this still remains. It would be really cool if the old log cabin church still remained. In fact, I always visit these old churches, and 9 times out of 10, they always started with an old log cabin church. It would be really cool to see one of those churches still around. I guarantee there has to be an old log cabin church somewhere still around. I'm gonna have to do some research and dig into that, because I would love to visit an original like 1700s log cabin church. I mean, I'm sure the logs would have been replaced, but it'd still be really cool to see what that looks like. But it is still really awesome to visit this church. 1801. Look at the amazing brownstone construction. I love how the stones aren't stacked like you might think. You might think they'd just be, stacked kind of like bricks. These are kind of done in sort of a zigzag, kind of like chevron, if you will, sort of pattern. It's very interesting, the design of the building. It's a really beautiful building. And the fact that it's 2 stories is also really interesting for 1801. It looks like they didn't go too crazy on the ornamental design of this church. A lot of times when you see these old buildings, like old homes that are built out of stone like this, you'll see the front of the buildings are very, very decorative. The stone is carved, it's maybe polished, there might be all kinds of like decor, and then you come around to the side and you'll notice, in fact, this one, well, no, I was gonna say it is, but it's not. You'll just notice a lot of flat stones, a lot of flat, very well maintained stones. And then you'll come around to the side of the house and you'll notice the stones are a bit more, not as kept up. They're just sort of there. It's just sort of stonework. And I guess in a way, now that I'm looking at this, that is kind of the way this church is designed. We'll walk back over here. So this is kind of like the front that faces the road. And then around the corner here, this is the entrance to the church. And the more I'm looking at this now, you can kind of see this. So the stones here out front are they're larger and they're more sort of well like placed. It just looks a little bit more fancier. The stonework, the stone placement does look a bit fancier here, and it does look a bit fancier here. But I am noticing that around the side here, it's not so fancy. It's just a bit more of just kind of stone placed, as you can see. That's interesting. So maybe this church does sort of fit that, where again, these houses and whatnot, these buildings that were built out of stone back in the day, the fronts and stuff, the parts that would face the street, the parts that people would see coming to visit or see from the road would be very well decorated. The stone would be nicely carved and smooth and polished and just looking nice. Whereas the stone on the side, the stone in the back. It would be more just rough like this. There was no need to make these stones look nice. There was no need to carve these stones down and polish them and make them all flat and fancy looking, because nobody would really see them except the family. They were in the back of the house. They were in the side of the house. There's really no reason to go too crazy with making those stones look nice. And yeah, the more I'm looking at the structure, that is kind of the way this one is designed as well. It's not as fancy. It's not as ornamental as a lot of houses in the area that are built out of stone. But the more I'm looking at this now, yeah, the front that faces the road and the front entrance area, the stones are definitely a lot bigger, placed a lot nicer. It looks like more time and effort was put into placing those stones and making those walls look a lot nicer than the back and the side here. You can also see at one point there was a roof. You can see it right there. It looks like a triangular roof that at one point came out over this area that's no longer there, but you can see where it used to reside. That is interesting. It's also very, very cold out today. It's like 40 something degrees. I think I hear the AC running, which I don't get. It's very, very chilly out right now, like 40 something degrees. So if I'm mumbling and I'm shivering, you guys know why. But I had to check this church out. It's just too cool. In 1801. And man, do I really wish we could get inside here. If we could get inside and just see what this church looks like, that'd be so cool. But like I said, at least we can look through the windows. At least you can just pull over and visit this church. And I'm happy I'm finally getting to do that. All these years driving past this, been wanting to pull over, check out this church. And today, I'm finally doing that. Bucket list item. It can't click today. My mouse too cold. Checked off. So of course, one of the other big reasons why I wanted to come out here was to check out their amazing cemetery. This cemetery dates back to the 1700s, and you guys know how much I love walking around old cemeteries. I love walking amongst the graves, remembering those who are buried in these cemeteries. And there are a lot of very interesting historical locals buried here, as we saw by the historical marker out front, which again, I had always just assumed was a historical marker for the actual church itself, but it's not. It's for a person who's actually buried here in the cemetery, and we will be finding that grave. But look at this. This is a family plot for the Curlin family, dating back to the 1800s, 1868 and 1881. Look at these. They are so ornate. They are so beautiful with the urns on top. There's a bouquet of flowers. There's a crown and cross on this one. This one here, unfortunately, is completely illegible. Many of these graves, since they do date back to the 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s, are no longer legible. You can no longer read them, unfortunately. But these are awesome. And as you can see, these here are more graves that at one point had a flower bed in front of them. I have still yet to ever visit a cemetery where one of these actually has a flower bed, actually has flowers growing out of them. If you've ever seen that, leave a comment down below, because it's my goal in life to visit a cemetery where one of these very ornate flower bed headstones are actually being used as they're supposed to be used, with a flower bed inside them. They're always empty. Every time I see one of these, they're always empty. One day I will find one that is no longer empty. But look at this. I mean, so many awesome, amazing family plots out here. So many interesting, amazing, beautiful headstones out here. And you're gonna notice all throughout the cemetery, there's a whole bunch of these war markers here. And from what I was reading, what's really interesting about this cemetery is the fact that there is a veteran from every single American war, from the Revolutionary War until the Persian Gulf War, except for the Spanish-American War. There is no veteran from the Spanish-American War buried here in this cemetery, unfortunately. So with that being said, if you have a family member, a past family member who was part of the Spanish-American War, and maybe you want to reinter their body somewhere, you could bury it here. You could dig them up, have them reburied here, and then complete their collection. I don't know if the church would go for that. Don't know what the church would think about that. But if I this is my church, if I owned this church and somebody came to me and said, hey, my great whatever uncle was was a veteran from the Spanish-American War, we would love to have him reinterred here in your cemetery, I would say, yes, let's do it. Then we can literally have a veteran from every single war, from the Revolutionary War all the way until the Persian Gulf War. That would be quite interesting. But again, there are just a ton of veterans out here. This one here being from the Revolutionary War, but unfortunately, we can no longer read their headstone. Some of these are really cool. There's the Turner family there. Pretty cool obelisk. The Linderman family there. Some of these headstones are really cool. Like this one here looks like a scroll. Also Linderman. This one here looks like a maybe like wood with a scroll on top of it as well. Can't read the first name, but it's Millard. Also a war veteran. Really interesting how many veterans there are buried out here, which is really, really cool. But again, so many of these headstones are just so old, you really can no longer read them. Like, I have no idea what any of these say right here. That one there is for Amelia Jones. That one we can still read. But again, many of these are unfortunately completely just no longer legible at all. Francis R. Hesser, if I'm saying that correctly. These dating back to the, looks like 1800s here. Another family plot right there with a sort of more kind of modern looking headstone. 1800s, 1900s, lost at sea. Washington Russell, look at that. Lost at sea, 1952. Interesting. Another veteran there. That is so interesting. This is why I love reading headstones. This is why I love walking amongst the past, because you just get to find out interesting things like lost at sea. That is interesting to read that and to learn about that and to remember these people who otherwise would just be completely forgotten about. And so many amazing headstones out here, but I want to find some of the more famous, if you will, people. I mean, I feel bad saying that, like, well, this guy here is not famous. Who cares about this guy? No, I care about everybody who's buried out here. Again, that's why I love coming out here, remembering these people, showing the names, showing the headstones, so that we don't forget who's buried out here. But I want to find some more of the historical people, if you will, who are buried out here. Looks like this was a child. You can see the lamb there. I can't really make out what that says or the date. I have no idea if you can make any of that out. Died, it says like Jan 28th, 1856, maybe? I can see, looks like it says infant baby of. So yeah, child unfortunately passed away. It's always sad to see a lamb in a cemetery. You always know that's unfortunately a child who has passed away. Again, very sad to see that. But all right, we're gonna head on into the cemetery some more. See who else is buried out here. These headstones are awesome. Again, you can't read them, but they're really, really awesome. So if the cemetery wasn't awesome enough, and if the churches weren't awesome enough, what makes this church really cool, in my opinion, is the fact that they actually have bat boxes out here. Look at that. That is not a birdhouse. That is a bat box. I wonder if any bats are inside there right now. I've always wanted to have a bat box at my house. Never actually got around to to getting a bat box. I wanted to put one on the side of my shed. Maybe, I don't know what the HOA would think of this, but maybe once I get settled in Florida, maybe then I could put a bat box on the side of the house down there. Again, not sure if the HOA would be okay with that or not, but I'm thinking I'm thinking I need a bat box at some point. A bat box would be absolutely amazing to have at my house. I like bats. You have got to be kidding me. So, okay, this just keeps getting better and better. We're gonna come back to the churches. We're gonna come back to the cemetery. We'll come back to the bat boxes. I had no idea this was here. I don't think I saw this on Labyrinth Locator unless I just completely missed it. There's a labyrinth out here. With that being said, it is not very well kept up. This is a labyrinth that has seen some better days. But again, I had no idea there was a labyrinth here. We're gonna have to walk this. Extra added bonus of finding a labyrinth here at the church. I love visiting labyrinths. I try to visit as many as I possibly can. I try to find every single one I can, and I had no idea this one existed. I don't know how I did not know this one existed. Either for whatever reason, it's not on Labyrinth Locator, or I somehow just missed over it. I don't know. Okay, so this is awesome. I got extra added labyrinth bonus. We're gonna find those historical graves, but I mean, we're here. I found a labyrinth. I'm walking this. So even though it looks like this labyrinth hasn't really been kept up very well, it's overgrown. There are sticks and foliage and all kinds of stuff just all over it. You can see that there have been some people out here walking this, because the leaves here are kind of crunched down a bit. So there have been people out here walking this labyrinth, probably maybe somewhat recently. So it's getting used, which is awesome. I love that. And even though it is overgrown, it's not the most easiest labyrinth to look at and see the paths of. You can actually find the paths quite easy because they are lined with stone. So even though, again, it's kind of overgrown, you can find your way through this labyrinth pretty easily, which is good. As you guys have seen in the past, I've been to some labyrinths where they're not kept up and you really can't find your way through them. The paint has worn away. They're completely 100% overgrown to the point where you can't even find the path anymore. This one here is still good. Again, it's not very well kept up, needs some maintenance, but all things considered, you can still find your way through it, which is what's really, really important with the labyrinth. And I think maybe, I was gonna say maybe we're coming towards the end, but maybe we're not. I'm not entirely sure where we're going. Again, the fun of a labyrinth. You think you're coming towards the end, and then you're not. All right, so I think I finally found the center of the labyrinth. Here we go. We have made it. That was awesome. Extra added labyrinth bonus for today's video. I was not planning on this at all. I just came to see the church. I came to walk around the cemetery. I came to see some graves. And then through the woods, I see this. And I knew immediately what it was. I knew it was a labyrinth. That is awesome. That is so cool. Was not planning on this today. Did not know this was here. Just an extra added labyrinth bonus. That is awesome. But all right, I'm gonna walk it one more time in reverse to get out, and then we'll go back into the cemetery and we'll try to find some of those historic graves. Okay, so that was awesome. Extra added bonus labyrinth thrown in to today's video. Again, I had no idea this existed, just stumbled upon it. That was really cool. Always love finding a labyrinth, always love walking a labyrinth. Very calming, very peaceful. It puts you in a good space walking a labyrinth. Also, what's nice is the sun is slowly starting to peek out from the clouds every so often. I do feel like it's warming up a little bit. When I got here, it was like in the low 40s. It's supposed to be in the like mid 50s, which is still pretty cold, but not as cold. So we found a labyrinth. The sun is coming out. We're heading back into the cemetery. We're gonna find some historic graves. This is proving to be a fun trip out to this church. I'm finding all kinds of stuff I did not know existed. Okay, back into the cemetery now. And look at this one right here, this family plot of Albert Phillips with the cherub. That is really cool. That is a really interesting, ornate railing. There's cherubs on every one of these centerpieces. And there is Albert Phillips right there. March 24th, I think it says 36, and July 26th, 1913, I believe is what that says. That is cool. I've seen some pretty interesting family plots and railings. I've never really seen anything like that before. That is cool. So again, this is why I love coming out to these places, seeing all the different ornate graves, all the different graves dating back to different time periods, all the styles that were around during those different time periods, different ways of burying people and remembering people, and different kinds of headstones, lots of obelisks, which is really cool as well. I would love to have an obelisk at my at my grave. I cannot have an obelisk at my grave. My cemetery that I have a plot in, it just has those lame flat headstones, so you can just mow over top of them. I get it, makes things more convenient, but I mean, come on, an obelisk would be really, really awesome to have as a headstone. Look at this one here with the hand. That's a Fannie, Fannie, Fannie. That is interesting. There's the hand there holding some flowers. That is an absolutely beautiful headstone. That's got to be one of the coolest, most beautiful, most interesting headstones I have ever seen. That is cool. The hand kind of creeps me out. I'm waiting to see it just move. It's kind of creeping me out, but that is really cool. Yeah, that there goes down as one of the neatest headstones I have ever seen. All right, so still looking for some of those historical graves that are out here. And I do believe I actually just found one, because this one here has a marker on it. This says, "Here lieth body or I have no, that is really hard to read. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is the grave of Andrew Robeson, if I'm saying that right, Justice of the Peace, Philadelphia County, Robeson Township, named for him. There you go. Husband of Magdalena, daughter of the Swedish provost, Andreas Rudman. How much of that did I say incorrectly? You guys can let me know down below, but this is awesome. Robeson Township named after this man right here, Andrew Robeson. That is cool. And his headstone's amazing with that angel there and the kind of green tint. I don't know what kind of stone this is. That is a very different looking stone. If you look at all the different headstones out here, I don't really see a headstone that looks anything like this one. This one here has a very different look to it. Looks like he maybe passed away. I have no idea what that says. It's at 1920 is maybe what that says. Age 66 years. February 19th. I don't know. That's very, very hard to read. But yeah, that is cool. This headstone is very interesting looking. Again, I don't know what kind of stone this is. It's very smooth. It has this very interesting green tint to it. Again, one of the coolest headstones I have seen. That is awesome. So, Andrew Robeson, Justice of the Peace, Philadelphia County. All right, we found our first historical grave. And what a cool grave. Again, that headstone is really interesting. There's a lot of graves buried way back in the cemetery by the train tracks. This here being Henry. I am not sure what that says. There's some more back here. This is, does that say Albertson Walton? Is maybe what that says. Died in 1885. Another war veteran. This one here I can't read, but it says at rest. And a lot of very interesting headstones out here. Trying to find some more of those historical ones. There's another Revolutionary War soldier, and here we go. Just found the headstone of Anthony Sadowski, or Sadowski. It says, in memory of Anthony, I'm going to say Sadowski, born circa 1669 in Poland and died April 22nd, 1736. And it says, whether or not he opened an Indian trading post on the shores of Lake Erie and gave his name to Sandusky, Ohio. Okay, so maybe it is Sandusky, or just kind of a play on his name. So, and gave his name to Sandusky, Ohio. Here lies the greatest Polish frontiersman of colonial times, an organizer of Amity Township, which is where I believe we are now, in 1719, and founder of the Sandusky family in America. So there you go. If you are part of the Sandusky family, or you live in Sandusky, Ohio, this man right here, Anthony Sadowski, or Sandusky, this right here is where your town comes from. And this here is your great whatever. This man right here is the reason why your family is here in the United States of America. That is really, really awesome. That is cool. I do see why he deserved his own historical marker out front. That is really awesome. Again, I had no idea he was buried here. That is cool. So comments down below. Are you a Sandusky, or do you live in Sandusky, Ohio? Because right here, again, this is your relative and or the person who named the town you live in. Wow, that is cool. I mean, the churches are awesome, but this almost made, I don't know, it's hard to say. The church is cool, the Labyrinth is cool, but I don't know, this here might be the reason to come out here. That is awesome. So I don't know if we're going to find every single historical grave here, but I'll try to find as many as I can. So next to Anthony, again, Sadowski, is the grave of James Warren, departed this life in April 7th, 1776. So there you go. Early settler and builder, village once known as Warrensburg. So early settler from Warrensburg, Pennsylvania. Not entirely sure where Warrensburg is or where Warrensburg was. It says town once known as, so I'm not sure. There's another really interesting family plot here. This one doesn't have quite as ornate railings. This is the Cross family. Krause, C-R-A-U-S-E, Krause family. Hamilton, Krause, and Fanny, another Fanny Krause, again, if I'm saying that right. And then we have both sons, or two sons of the Krauses right here. Looks like, children, 1872 to 1873, that is sad. And 1880 to 1880, is that an 8 or a 0? I can't tell if that's a 0 or an 8 there, but either way, again, more young children passing away. Very sad. I can't begin to imagine that, nor would I want to even begin to imagine losing a child, losing my child. That just sounds awful. You can see at one point there was a gate here. No longer there. Still cool, interesting, ornate family plot. All right, so I believe there are, like, at least from what I was reading, there's gonna be like one or two more graves I really want to find, but there are just so many other interesting graves out here. I could just spend the entire day just walking around. I have done that before. I've gone out to cemeteries and just spent hours upon hours upon hours just walking around, looking at all the different graves, reading all the different names. Look at this one here. don't have any idea what that says, but it's a really cool headstone. All right, so I'm gonna head out that way, try to find some more of the graves I want to find. But again, just such an interesting and just very historical cemetery. If you're from this area, a lot of very historical people from this area buried here. Something I'm finding very interesting about this cemetery are the placement of the graves. You have these rows of graves. You have graves in the middle of the cemetery. You have graves out front of the cemetery, kind of where you would expect to see headstones. But then again, you have some that are buried just way, way, way in the back of the cemetery, kind of back towards the train tracks, including some very historical people who are buried back there for whatever reason. And then, maybe most bizarre of all, you have some people buried down here in this ditch, which is really, really weird. Seems like a very bizarre place to bury somebody down in a ditch. But it makes you wonder, maybe these families, perhaps they did not have as much money. Maybe where you're buried depended on who you were. Well, maybe not who you were, because again, people buried way in the back who were quite famous, but maybe depended on how much money you had or something like that. Because obviously, if you have an obelisk or some very fancy looking headstone, or you have a family plot, your family probably has some money. Whereas maybe if you were buried in the ditch area, maybe you did not have as much money. I don't know. Kind of a weird place to see graves placed. I would assume that ditch has always been there. You can see just the way the land is. It's always probably been like that. Just again, seems like a really strange place to put a grave. But I've been noticing that all throughout the cemetery. Just graves are kind of sort of placed just kind of sort of wherever. There's no real rhyme or reason. Every now and then you see like a row, but then that row ends and then just kind of darts off, and it's really bizarre. Just the way the graves are just sort of placed almost wherever they just sort of wanted to put graves. All right, so we found another historical grave here. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Tell me that's not an amazing grave. This says, here lieth the bodies of James and William Byrd, who died in the year 1748. It says James aged only 12 years. That is sad. So some more children perhaps buried there. That's maybe a cherub. So this grave right here, this is the grave of William Byrd Esquire, died November 16th, 1761, ironmaster at the Hopewell and Birdsboro, named for him. So he was an ironmaster, Hopewell Iron Furnace, which I've taken you guys out to before. It's a historical national park. It's awesome. It's amazing. Old iron furnace park. Very cool. But this is also who Birdsboro, Pennsylvania is named after. Again, in memory of William Byrd Esquire, who departed this life November the 16th, 1761, aged 55 years. So buried right here is the old iron master for Hopewell Furnace and the man that Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, which is right like over there, Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, is named after. Like I said, to those of you who live in other states or don't live anywhere in this area, you might be thinking, okay, all right. But for those of you who do live in this area like me, that's interesting. You drive through these towns all the time. You know these towns are named after somebody. You know, Smithville. Who was Smith? There must have been a Smith. This town was named after. Well, Birdsboro was named after William Byrd Esquire, and he is buried right here. So maybe not everybody finds that interesting, but I personally find that extremely interesting. I've been to Birdsboro many times, and right there's the man who that town is named after. Okay, so I believe the other historical grave I'm looking for, the one I'm really looking for, is right here. This says, in memory of George Douglas, who was born 25th February 1726 and departed this life 10th March 1799, aged 73 years and 13 days. The plaque says, the Douglas family, wealthy and influential colonial settlers, George Douglas built his family mansion here and also the White Horse Tavern in 1765. The stagecoach stop was of historical importance during the Revolutionary War. Douglasville, which again is the town we're in right now, was named for him. So this man right here named the town we are in at the moment, Douglasville, Pennsylvania, named for George Douglas right here. That is awesome. Also, Revolutionary War veteran. That is cool. That's the grave I knew I wanted to come out here to find. I mean, we found one down there that might be slightly cooler, but I'm kind of freaked out over the grave, which the historical marker out front is for. But still, this is pretty cool. George Douglas, the man who named Douglasville. So the man who Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, again, right down there, the man who Birdsboro, Pennsylvania is named after right there. And the man who Douglasville, Pennsylvania is named after, like a couple yards away, right here. Two major towns here in the area in Pennsylvania, and both men the towns are named after are right here. That is so interesting. Again, this is the kind of stuff I geek out over. I love this, and I would assume this is probably the Douglas family here. You can't really read these. It looks like this one here has been kind of not kept up, but probably, like, I don't know, worn away to show the actual names. This is Mary. It says Mary Douglas, who was the wife. It says the wife. That's really hard to see. I believe that says wife of Geo Douglas. So that would be the wife. This is his wife right here, Mary Douglas. So husband and wife next to each other. These are going to be really difficult to read. Yeah, these are completely no longer legible. I have no idea what these say. I believe it does say Douglas though. See, that says George Douglas there as well. So maybe that was a son, like George Douglas II or something. I'm not sure. Again, very, very difficult to read those. But again, the men that Birdsboro, Pennsylvania and Douglasville, Pennsylvania are named after right there. This is too cool. This is by far one of the most interesting cemeteries I've been to in the area. I would highly recommend coming out here if you're into history, local history, or you're just into cemeteries in and themselves. This is absolutely one you have to come out to. All right, but with that, I do think we are just about done here in the cemetery. I could walk around here again all day long, showing you guys every single grave, but that would just be insane. So we're gonna leave the cemetery now, although there is another historical marker here. Judge Abraham H. Rothermel, jurist and author of The Dumb Dutch by one of them. The Dumb Dutch by one of them. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's should I be taking that as Judge Abraham H. Rothermel was not a fan of the Dutch, or maybe I'm reading into that incorrectly. Maybe that means something else. If you've ever read The Dumb Dutch by one of them, leave a comment down below. I'm kind of intrigued to read that book now and find out what exactly they mean by the Dumb Dutch. Anyway, so like I said, amazing, awesome cemetery. There are graves just completely surrounding the 1801 church. There are graves here, all around back, all around the other side as well. And they're all amazing, beautiful, very old graves. I did see a few newer graves out here as well, meaning that they are still burying people out here. This is still an active cemetery. New people, new bodies are being buried here. So there's a weird train thing. I wish I was over there. There's a train with a crane. That was interesting. Anyway, so like I said, some newer people, newer graves out here. This is Higginson Oliver M., who passed away in 2018 I'm guessing they were English. And it looks like at some point the rest of the family will be buried here as well. And like I said, I noticed some graves kind of in the center over there that are newer as well. So active cemetery, new graves being placed out here still. But such an amazing cemetery. Honestly, this is the kind of cemetery I would love to be buried in. Like such a historical cemetery. Could you imagine just spending eternity buried here with these local, very historical people? That would be really, really awesome. That would be pretty cool. So, all right, guys, with that, I do though think we are just about done here in the cemetery. Like I said, I could spend another like 10 hours walking around showing you every single grave, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to leave you guys a reason to come out here. So come out here, see the historical graves, see some of the graves I showed you, and then just walk amongst all the other graves. Check out the graves of all the different soldiers out here, the Revolutionary War soldiers, the soldiers from just all the other wars, the Civil War and up to the Persian Gulf War, every single war from the American Revolutionary War to the Persian Gulf War, again, with the exception of the Spanish-American War, only war that they do not have a soldier, a veteran for, which is a shame. Again, they could just dig one up from somewhere else and put them here. That would be awesome. Their war veteran collection would be complete. All right, guys. Anyway, all right, let's head over to the other church quick. I'm gonna show that off very quickly, and then we'll get out of here. All right, so yeah, we are gonna wrap things up now. But again, I just wanted to show you guys the amazing 1801 church, the St. Gabriel's Chapel, built 1801, church founded 1720. Such an awesome, amazing structure. And of course, the amazing, very historical cemetery that surrounds the 1801 church. We're gonna walk through the awesome wrought iron gate here. Look at that. And then as promised, I'll show you guys this church over here as well, because this church is also quite historical. It's been built onto, but this church was originally built in 1884. So really awesome. Again, very old church in of itself. And it's beautiful with that, again, that bell steeple there, all the stained glass windows. Very awesome, very amazing looking. Look at the lampposts here. Even those are very kind of like Gothic in style. They very well fit the motif, the theming of the church. So beautiful. 1884 is when this was built. Look at all of those amazing stained glass windows. Again, another place I would like to get inside someday and look at, because it is absolutely beautiful. But all right, guys, that's gonna do it for St. Gabriel's Church here. Amazing, beautiful. The old 1801 chapel right down there. The 1884 church right here. St. Gabriel's Chapel, St. Gabriel's Parish Life Center right there. All of this is beautiful. It's also very noisy, again, right off of a very major highway, but totally worth coming out here. Wanted to look at the old 1801 chapel. Wanted to see the 1884 chapel as well, because this church in of itself is beautiful. Look at the buttresses on the side here, again with the stained glass windows. Such a beautiful looking church. Amazing. And also had to visit the very historical cemetery out back as well, with the very historical, local historical graves. Very cool. Definitely something I would highly recommend coming out to take a look at. But all right, guys, that is going to do it So if you guys have ever been to the St. Gabriel's Chapel, St. Gabriel's Church here, or you've ever been out to the cemetery, leave your comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. Or if you happen to have a relative who was part of the Spanish-American War, you know where they're buried, and you're willing to have them reinterred here in this cemetery, let the church know, because they've got to complete that veterans collection. But all right, guys, again, that's going to do it. So, as always, thank you all so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt where you can grab yourself retro Rest Stop t-shirts. Proceeds both from Spreadshirt and from Patreon do help support the show. They do keep the show going, so I really do appreciate the help and appreciate the support. And if you guys watch this video all the way until the very end, I'm gonna say, man, there's so many good hashtags. We could do something about the Labyrinth. I mean, we could do, there's a lot of good hashtags to think of. I'm gonna say, hashtag the dumb Dutch. Because what the heck is that? Hashtag the dumb Dutch. If you guys watch this video all the way until the very end, I have nothing wrong with Dutch people. I love the Dutch, but what the heck is that about? I don't know. We are in a there's a lot of big Dutch population around here, so I don't know. Comments down below. What is that about? If you know, let me know. But hashtag the dumb Dutch. If you guys watch this video all the way to the very end. But again, awesome, amazing 1884 church, 1801 chapel, historical, very historical graveyard, and then off to the side, a hidden labyrinth. So coming out here is totally worth your time. Very, very awesome, amazing place. Again, this is how you know I'm having a good time. I don't want to leave. I kind of want to walk around a little bit more. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll walk around a little bit more, take a couple more pictures, who knows. But I'm gonna let you guys go. So again, thanks for watching. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button, or you are subscribed, then I will see you guys in the next video. All right, that's gonna do it for the 1801 St. Gabriel's Chapel and their extremely historical cemetery, which is really cool. So again, guys, that's gonna do it. So like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button, or you are subscribed, then I will see you in tomorrow's video. I think I already said that. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye. And have a go. And of course, you guys did not think that I was going to be 5 minutes down the road from the very best and not get myself get myself 2 hot dogs and some crinkle fries and a traditional, legit vanilla Coke. I love this place. Again, the very best in Pottstown since 1921. Over 100 years, this place has been here serving all kinds of amazing, delicious food. The hot dogs, though, I mean, anything you get inside there is going to be amazing and delicious, but I would say get a hot dog. They're the best. I love them. I love this place. I'm gonna miss them so much. I was telling them it's a shame they're not open on Sundays, because Sunday is gonna be my last day. I'm gonna literally go to Jake's Flea Market, which is that way. I'm gonna go to Jake's Flea Market, and then from Jake's, I'm heading to Florida. So I said, man, I could have quickly swung by and grabbed one last hot dog on that Sunday, but it is what it is. I'll try to make my way back out here one last time, because man, this food's so good. I'm gonna miss this place so much. Best hot dogs. If you're in the area, just swing by Main Street in Pottstown. Get yourself a hot dog or a hamburger or whatever they have that you might want. It is worth it. And really cool retro vintage arcade in the back as well, which is also an extra added fun bonus. But all right, it's getting windy, but at least the sun's out. All right, I'm gonna go eat my hot dogs. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.